That is, if you can watch development. Recently, Mr. Trump has not yet reached his White House to his because many guests may not know that our White House is near us, where the government works, good decisions are made there, and different decisions are made there in Washington. So, he has already stated that if the BRICS states use or do not use the dollar, then he will introduce 100% duty against all these states. And this perhaps is one such threat to the state in general. Americans have had a nightmare about specific banks. We will banks punish companies in this way, in order to state in the forehead that states will be punished and all products will be taxed 100%. One for a newly elected president. We all know that Americans are very sensitive to this topic because America's strength is in the dollar, of course, because investing money in dollars, if there is no dollar with its positions, will only fail. The American economy, with its huge debt, with the fact that, as it were, the dollar brings huge profits to banks and so on. Is that what you think of the new president's move? Won't what you said finally undermine confidence in the United States, in its policies, in its financial system? Will find the BRICS countries and other states even faster to flee from the dollar and get rid of this system?
First of all, I agree with you about the use of the dollar as the world currency. The United States has a lot of unearned money. According to our experts, somewhere in the last 10 years, they received approximately $10 trillion just like that from heaven for the facts of use. The dollar as the world's reserve currency, well, it's on bets, on placements in their banks there and so on. 10 trillion is decent. Very much it means that they consume more than they produce. This is a very important thing. That is, in fact, the United States, at the expense of the dollar, continues to exploit other economies of the world in its favor. Few people think about it, but it is a fact. And on that part, I agree with you. It's one now too. You said that. The son of President-elect Trump has threatened that those who do not use the dollar, he will impose sanctions against them there and increase tariffs. As far as I know, he didn't say that. I understand that everything that has to do with the United States causes a certain reaction in us. As far as I could see, however, I had no time to particularly look at what was happening somewhere beyond the hill. But nevertheless, I paid attention to it. He said that if someone forbids the use of the dollar and restricts it, he will react accordingly. It's not the same thing. It is one thing to prohibit the use of the dollar and another thing to another. Don't use it, you know? These are different things completely, that's why. 2 to 3. After all, the newly elected president has not been in the same position for 4 years. During this time, changes have occurred in the economy, in the world, and in the American economy. His political opponents have done a lot to undermine the dollar as the world reserve currency. And first of all, they did it with their own hands, using the dollar as an instrument of political and maybe even armed struggle in order to cause damage to other countries which are still in power in the Soviet Union, but exist as their enemy. We have never considered them. They suddenly decided that we adversaries began to impose restrictions. And taking into account the fact that the share of SA in the world economy is decreasing, and therefore the influence of the dollar on world economic processes is also decreasing, processes associated with the use of other instruments naturally occur. For example, on Bitcoin, who can ban it completely? No one AA. The use of other electronic means of settlement, who can ban anyone, because these are new technologies, and whatever happens with the dollar, these tools will evolve one way or another because everyone will strive to. Reducing costs and enhancing reliability is an unavoidable process that must be navigated. Lead 10 has nothing to do with it at all, but if there is a further continuation. Reducing the use of the dollar in the world and with their own hands. They will, of course, undermine the basis of their economic power. That's pretty obvious. I completely agree with you here. Ultimately, here we are at last. We never declined the dollar. Did we reject it? No. We refused its usage. Yet we refused it, and they acknowledged, they struggled and confronted the inherent issues of the dollar itself. Now it's crucial to contemplate our next steps. All of this stems from a confidence built through exclusion. This is equally unacceptable in the economic realm. Understanding the world's ongoing processes is vital, and it is upon this understanding that we must structure our policies, even internationally. Observe the natural occurrences in various nations. Countries, even unwavering allies of the United States, are decreasing their gold and foreign exchange reserves in dollars and euros. It's noteworthy that this reduction has spanned the last decade. The reduction was approximately 13%. This is a significant amount. This phenomenon transpires naturally. And no one, we can't reverse these processes, particularly using sanctions and coercive approaches that are detrimental to the economy and those who initially accept it, creating widespread and long-term consequences.
Thank you very much for a new conversation with him. Our regiment will tell the project so he didn't wave.
A person who has advice and recommendations is activated.
I didn't need it, okay?
What do you guys think? Is Putin right about the dollars? Please leave your comment below. We would love to hear from you.
Thank you for making it this far. If you like this video, you might want to share it with a like-minded friend. Thank you, and as always, stay blessed.